The content you're about to hear is a part of a paid programming segment. The views, opinions, and statements expressed belong solely to the sponsor and do not reflect those of Podcastic or its host. This segment is for informational and promotional purposes only and should not be considered as advice or endorsement. Listener discretion is advised.
Good day, good people. Welcome to another purpose-filled episode of Lessons for the Journey, produced by Chantel Mosley of Podcast Studios, live here every Friday at 12 p.m. on Facebook and YouTube. I am your host, Dr. Hetheru, and joining us in the studio is our co-host, motivational healer, Ma'at Seba. Every episode, we explore and align women's wellness, spiritual insights, healthy relationships, and real-life journey lessons. Every conversation is designed to help you understand your why, heal emotional patterns, and grow in spiritual maturity so that you can move differently in your next chapter life and in those relationships. So if you're seeking clarity, healing, and what resonates with you here, please deeply reflect as it aligns and move with intention toward helping yourself to the next level. To get started, we always activate our inner guidance, and we have, of course, our motivational healer, Ma'at Seba, who I'm going to put on the spot for our question for today. And you should see her eyes a this big. Just for reflection. So we use the reflection process to activate our inner guidance, that inner voice, to get us to thinking more deeply about where we are, what are we taking in. And so our topic for today, if you have not heard, is a more juicy one. But the topic is, what is your arousal type? And so we're not going to pose that question to you right now. We're going to give you some insight and some information before we get into that. So the question for inner reflection today is, you got one, Ma? Do you want me to pick up one? Yes, I just threw her under the radar. I threw her under the radar. I did that on purpose, so I'm
used to it.
I'm sneaky, right? Okay, so really one of the inner guidance questions that will help activate you today is, do you consider yourself a spiritual woman, a spiritually mature woman? There's one reason that we're spiritual. There's another reason to be spiritually mature. And so how about your thoughts on that, spiritual and spiritually mature?
Spiritual is a path, it's a walk, it's a journey. Maturity comes with wisdom. So you can have spiritual knowledge, but not have wisdom to be able to incorporate the two together. So there are people who intellectually know a lot of spiritual things, but they don't behave in that manner. They don't walk their talk. So when you have maturity, that comes from wisdom of life and experiences in life and practicing those spiritual principles that you've learned. Practice that, and it becomes a lifestyle. So you can tell maturity by the way you respond to things. Maybe you responded aggressively in the past, even though you had certain spiritual information, you still responded aggressively, or you were excessively passive. So, or you were an egomaniac or whatever. So, when life start lifing you, and you start having certain experiences in life, and you understand and use the spiritual principles and tools that you've learned and apply them to your life so that it becomes a lifestyle, that becomes spiritual maturity.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Chantel, do you care to weigh in for that?
So I do agree. I feel like you can be spiritual, and that can maybe be the beginning stages of you just kind of getting introduced to things, understanding, and then starting the walk. And then the more that you're into that journey and that walk, you gain more tools, more wisdom, talk to different people, get video insights, things of that nature. So that kind of helps you grow, and like Ms. Ma'at was saying, change the way that you handle certain things, learn how to handle your emotions, develop emotional intelligence. So I definitely feel like you need both spirituality and as well as spiritual just awareness, and yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you both for weighing in on that. And the reason why defining this as listeners, defining this for yourself too, is important, because as we share information, and we share more information today in particular, it is because a lot of people want to go into a debate about new information, whether they agree or disagree. This is not debatable information. It is how you process the information, how you take it in, how you use it, if it resonates with you. That is, if you've heard the saying, you eat the meat and spit out the bones. So take what you need, and the rest you just set aside. It's not about debating. And so spiritual maturity allows you to hear another person's point of view, take it in. Whether you agree or disagree is not a disagreement. Right? It's a belief system that either you're practicing now or you're not. It's not an attack. And so the more mature you are, the more you understand that these new pieces of information and perspectives is not about attack. It's not about defending your point of view. It is about allowing it to flow in and flow out. What you need, you keep. What you don't, you release. That is maturity when you're absorbing more information, as I practice it. And so my hope is that that you will be able to use that as part of this conversation that we're having today. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of reflection about how the topic came to be. So over the last 30 years, I've studied the path of the sacred feminine, which also included trainings, initiations, insights. And then I have come to appreciate the sensual and sacred woman in the process. And so to that point, I have worked and connected with hundreds of women that I've coached, came through my trainings or workshops, or connected with my videos around this topic of the sacred feminine in this sensual way. And so many of us can see that the sensual arts are emerging, and it's starting to connect more with the sacred feminine. And one trend that I keep seeing in women who are starting to remember, they want to know more about the sexuality and the encounters that they are actually having, and how to get more out of it, and how to draw more closer to their sacred feminine. And so if something that we've shared already resonates with you, give us a call. Let us know how you feel about spiritual maturity, spirituality, and this draw to the sacred feminine. And you can call us at 810-560-0658. And so we just want to hear a little bit about what you are thinking out there, because we're going to talk a little bit more about it, but we want your inner guidance to be activated so that you get in the mindset of receiving the information that we're going to share with you today. So again, if you have some comments or thoughts on it, give us a call at 810-560-0658. Or, of course, you can always make comments. So we see comments coming in. Good afternoon, Mark. Thanks for tapping in. I have you on my phone now. I have to wait for it to pop up on the screen so I can respond. Okay. So here's our overview for our topic again. This topic is addressing sacred women, also those who are spiritually mature, and understanding what is your arousal type. And so, men, if you're out there take some notes. Take some notes because this is going to be to your benefit to understand as well. So the first time I saw this information simplified, like I'm going to share it with you, down to 5 types, was an article by Dr. Petra Zebroff in the Huntington Post. And so after I did a little bit more research and study, I also started to see the connection between the 5 love languages with Dr. Gary Chapman. And so I started to blend these processes together over time to come up with some of the information that we're going to share with you today. And so our topic is motivated by the thousands of women who explore out loud or silently, trying to understand why they are attracted or not attracted to a certain man. Yes, there are many other reasons and ways to answer this question, but today we are focusing on what arouses you. So we're asking you to suspend your judgment for this conversation, to set aside the good, the bad, the right, and the wrong, and perceptions, and explore the possibilities with an open mind and an open heart. So I'm going to start us off with some information, and I'm going to ask Ma'at to take on the next one. But in between these comments and this information, one, I hope you have your water, because it's one of your tools to hydrate, so that the information that we're sharing with you can actually absorb and get beyond the survival mode, especially in a cold day like today. We need you to hydrate, and also, if you're able to take notes, write it down in a journal so you can reflect back on this later. It's going to be mind-blowing once it sets in. All right, and so part one of this discussion is sex is a God idea. So sex is a God idea. It's not culture's idea. It's not pornography's idea. It's not something borrowed from the world and baptized later. It is God's design, crafted with intention, wisdom, and pleasure in mind. And when a spiritually mature woman begins to understand her body, not just as something to suppress or survive, but something to steward and appreciate, she steps into her deeper level of freedom. As spiritually mature women move into deeper understanding of why knowing your arousal type can be empowering and liberating, here are 4 reasons sex is a God, which I call good. So if you hear me say good day, good people, my good also represents God. So God day, God people. And so the God idea is the good idea. And so here are my 4 reasons. 1, God made us our bodies to be fully present with thousands of nerve endings that we allow ourselves to be fully present in sex and during sex, and can be a divine experience and a divine connection with the person that you're with. Number 2, it's designed to enjoy yourself as the ultimate creation. You are created with the ability to procreate and enjoy the process. That's a God idea. And we are also co-creators with God in this physical plane. 3, the female body contains nerve-dense areas designed for sexual pleasure, which studies have suggested that beyond the primary genital organs, the entire skin acts as an erogenous zone. So your skin is one complete organ in itself. Got goosebumps. Woo. And the last one is research confirms that the female nervous system is primed for pleasure. Now, there's a lot of feedback these days about, regulating your nervous system. This is another thing to look at when you talk about regulating your nervous system and why it is tense and why it is in fight or flight mode all the time. So we have nerve-dense areas designed for sexual pleasure. So designed for sexual pleasure, but there is these particular areas are highly erogenous. And so the study shows that 82% of women identify multiple areas of the yoni or the vagina as being erogenous. So it's not just one, it's not just internal, it's also external. It's not just deep penetration, it's also shallow. And if you don't know these pieces and know these parts, I'm not going to get into them today, but if you text me, I will email you my chart that has all of its 10 different erogenous zones that most people don't think about. And if you're a man, this could be helpful to you. If you're a woman in exploration, this is definitely helpful to you, especially if you don't and haven't experienced orgasm with your partner, or that you haven't experienced it at all. So this is some really great exploration. You can text your email to me, your name and your email to me at 313-759-7855. I will send you the 10 erogenous zones, and I will send you arousal type, so that you can have this conversation with yourself, your partner, your girlfriends. That, just for a good conversation is really good information to have. Again, if you text me your email address and your name, I will send this information out to you between today and tomorrow. So today is Friday and tomorrow. So you'll get this information relatively soon. Again, you can text me your email and phone number at 313-759-7855. And I will email these documents out to you so you'll have it for your own records. All right. So I know that was a lot of information to take in. So what are your thoughts, Ma'at and Chantel, and our listeners out there? What is your thought about God's divine design of the female body as a pleasure center?
Well, anytime you have questions, my mind goes all over the place. Mm-hmm. Not as far as a pleasure center, but when you first said God's divine of the woman's body, architecture, especially churches, Catholic churches, mm-hmm. are the archways. If the archways are rounded, that represents the women's vagina or the yoni. So there are a lot of images in architecture that reflect the feminine energy. In terms of, what was the original contract? Because, I had my mind's all over. What was the original question?
The divine design of the female body as a God idea and its pleasure centers as a God idea.
Well, I'm glad we're designed the way we are. That's for sure. Now, again, I don't know why, but I'm going to the form of the feminine, the form of the woman's body, not only sexual, but the I don't know how to the form in terms of no, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I'm looking at things from an esoteric standpoint. Sure. I'm looking at the tree of life mm-hmm. images it's actually created in the form of a feminine woman's body. So, and then when you get to the sexual energy, just the frequency of a woman is in nature and in humans, it is exceptionally high. They say that the feminine energy of this planet is feminine based. Mm. So none of us can be walking around if men don't find us attractive on some type of level. Mm. From a martial arts perspective, it was explained to me that men are attracted to round things. Women are attracted to square things. Mm-hmm. So if you look at how many round things a woman has on them,
including the body,
right? The woman's breasts are round. Mm-hmm. Some people find her stomach area, the rear end is round, and so just the shape itself, I think, has some kind of. I'm not a man, so I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I don't look at women the same way a man would, but. I guess that maybe that's kind of hard for me to kind of get this out, but as I said, I'm looking at it from more of a metaphysical, esoteric type of situation. So I never looked at it from the sensual aspect. So this is interesting. I never looked at it, so I'm gonna start, as we get further into this, make some connections that I never made before.
Mm. That's awesome. That's deep insight.
I don't know. It didn't sound deep to me.
Yeah, it does. Even the association with the sacred spaces that you enter. And you talk about, mm-hmm. that Vesica Pisces shape too, mm-hmm. right?
Openings, yeah.
Yep. And so that is really significant in how it has been honored and portrayed over time. And if you think about it, and even some school buildings, they have that kind of shape. When you walk like outside, it's it's like a little scoop like that, but it's still the same roundedness into it. So, and I heard that too about the masculine being square. And it's interesting for people who do a lot of people watching, right? And you're wondering, you look at the natural rhythms of people, it's drawing. It's just like that too. And you look at the different people, how they move and the shape. All of this is divine design. And that's why it's so exciting, because we have exploited it. Okay, so we got a comment. We have exploited it a lot as human nature for profit. And so, we have violated certain, the sacredness of the sacred feminine. And we are in this process of bringing it back to the surface, bringing it back to the forefront for understanding. So Terrence commented.
The whole
good afternoon
didn't
to you.
come out.
I see it on my screen too. It says the Catholic Church has a history of slavery, pedophilia, and child manipulation. Do you believe self-masturbation? I think it's necessary. I mean, it's a necessary part of exploring you and knowing you. So this, aside from the Catholic Church comment, I'll circle back to that. But it is definitely important, because if you can't explore your own body, if you can't explore your own thoughts, how can you have an expectation that somebody is going to know it better than you? This is for male or female. Masturbation is a natural release process. It is in the absence of a person to express it and share it with. You are designed to do it. That's why it's instinctual. Babies do it. Newborn babies masturbate all the time, male and female. It is a natural human response. It is no shame in that. It is what we have added to it to make it shameful. And so when we talk about the sacred woman, when we talk about the spiritually mature women, these are the women who we're talking to, who are ready to see it in a different way, to move from the pornography, I was going to say pornographic, from the pornography and that teaching. That has been a teaching also that has been passed down. Just like you talked about the Catholic Church and their practices, it's the divine practice internalized, humanized, demonized. And so it is, that is something that, this is not the best time to bring that up, but it is something that is important to know and to consider as you are looking at what is sacred feminine, and what stirs those arousal types. Knowing yours is really important. And again, we're talking about this from the God design idea. And so thank you, Terrence, for your comment. I hope I answered it in some form. Probably not necessarily where we were going with that topic, but thank you for tuning in. All right. And so I'm just going to highlight these again. So the 4 ideas that we came up with: God made our bodies to be fully present, to enjoy yourself as an ultimate creation. The female body contains extensive nerve-dense areas. And then the research also confirms that not only do women think about this for themselves, but science also protects it and acknowledges it. So we're going to move into part 2. Chantel, did you have any thoughts on that before we move on to part 2?
It was interesting. I do agree with Miss Ma'at, and I'm glad we are made this way. What I will say is that I feel as though we need to have more conversations about this so that it can, become more normal or normalized. When we hear anything about the woman, the anatomy, the body, it's always either laughed at in like a joking way. People can't take it serious. It's always just going into the sexual route all of the time. So I do feel like we need to start talking about it from a spiritual standpoint, modest standpoint, and just other areas, not just sexually based, so that when we do hear the words, when we do talk about a woman's body, it's not always just looked at, from that standpoint.
For performance.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's why I was kind of struggling early, because when I think about the woman's body, to me, it's the first thing that came to my mind is sacredness, not sexuality. Sexuality is it's going to do what it do, but it's sacredness first. and valuing it, and what you do with it, who you allow to do whatever to it. So if it's looked at it from more of a sacred standpoint, because everything in our society has been sexualized. I mean, everything, toothpaste, hairspray, you know, and it's sexualized from a feminine perspective, not masculine. Everything is feminine sexuality, and it's been is displaced energy. So when you look at a woman or think about a woman, you look at her from your lower nature, not your higher nature. So you don't, when you see a toothpaste commercial, you're not thinking about sacredness. You're thinking about sex. So a whole different narrative has to be created around a woman's body and sexuality. Spiritual maturity has a lot to do with it, because the more spiritual mature you are, there's certain things you won't even allow in your space, let alone to be done to you and with you. So I think that's very important. And then as the masturbation part, we're coming into a new age now. You know, we're going into the age of Aquarius, which is age of truth and light, coming out of the age of Pisces. And so all of the negative perceptions of women's bodies, being able to abuse, misuse them any and every kind of way, that's dying off. And so women are now becoming more open to discovering this thing that we call, you know, our body and everything that it can do, and honoring and respecting it. So, of course, the church always talked against basically anything that had to do with sexuality.
Oh, it's sacred feminine.
Yeah.
And the sacred feminine.
So
outside of Mother Mary, that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, right.
But that might be a great one to emerge. We've had that conversation, and so thank you for that, Ma'at, too. And you bring a good point to for consideration and for further exploration about your higher self and your lower self. And I use the chakra system to help divide in my mind the higher self and the lower self, and the heart is the dividing line between your lower self and your higher self, the physical and the spiritual. And in knowing that, what you do in your lower self with your lower self is going to be significant, because we are both physical and spiritual. And because of that, we are always in this battle for balance of both of them. And that is also the balance between the masculine and the feminine. It is also that balance that you are in the midst of are universal cosmic laws. And if you are honoring universal cosmic laws, then how you see and live and are in the world can be distinctly different. And so mainstream media feeds us a mindset just like education did, right? Early education fed a mindset for a workforce to behave this way and to reproduce more workers. And the age and time that we're in, what we're producing is more spiritually literate people, more people who act in and from their spiritual being versus the physical being. That's why so many people have divested from working, in the sense of working as opposed to working or living your purpose work, doing what you've been called to do, identifying what that is, which is connected also to your higher self. Your highest self is saying, I am here to do this. I am committed to live my life to do this is what I'm called to do. And so in that, we are shifting dynamics. We are understanding more the sacred feminine and also the sacred masculine and the roles that we share together. And so it's really important as we talk about what arouses you and why you're attracted to one man versus another man. I'm speaking to our spiritually mature sisters right now, that as you are looking for a particular man or a mate, when you feel the lack of attraction, or when you are looking at the male anatomy and you're saying, well, he's too much of this or not enough of that, when you're doing that, we're looking often at a physical lens, because if you're looking and using your spiritual lens and your spiritual wisdom, a spiritually mature woman who understands her own body can have a level of pleasure with a man regardless of his anatomical makeup. And so in addition to his attractiveness, you may say, well, he's too tall, too short, too big, too small. All of those things are a part of why you need to understand your arousal type, so you can understand what is really attracting. Is not him that is really attractive to you. It is your own mind. It is understanding your own body. It is more to it than just what you see. That's such a very small part of attraction and arousal. And so we want to make sure that you leave today with some of this knowledge and tools so we can stop throwing away good men because they don't have they don't meet the ideal of what you have seen and what media has projected to you, what a man looks like and is like, and what pornography for both men and women has imprinted in us about what is sexually satisfying. And so we want to make sure that we are kind of breaking, again, we're asking you to do this without judgment, but breaking down some of those things so you can have a real, true, divine connection and experience. That's what I want for you. And so we're going to move on to the next part. Any thoughts on that? Please give us a call at 810-560-0658. Again, I'll put that offer out again about sending me your name and your email address, texting that information to me, and I will send you out some support tools that I use in my coaching work that you can use as well. So, Ma'at, if you can take part 2.
Okay, arousal types are more than physical. As we talk about arousal types, this is not to make sex mechanical, but to make it meaningful. Not an act to perform, but a space to be present. Presence is where pleasure lives, and pleasure. Presence is where Presence is where pleasure lives, and pleasure, I think that's typo, when honored rightly, can be divine. Although we know that the physical body is a container for physical pleasure, our skin, our breath, our mind all participate, which tells us something powerful. Your body is not the problem. Your body is the pathway. As many realize, the most powerful sexual organ you have is not between your legs, it's between your ears. Your brain processes desire, safety, imagination, memory, and meaning. So when we talk about arousal, we are not just talking about touch. We are talking about connection, attention, affirmation, and presence. The body receives love and responds to intimacy through our arousal types. We've identified 5 arousal types. Which one are you? So the first one is the sensual type, which is more body-oriented. This woman experiences arousal through the senses, the touch, scent, taste, atmosphere. She needs to feel safe, relaxed, and attended to in her body. A rushed environment shuts her down. Presence opens her up. This arousal type often aligns with affection and acts of service because love is felt through what is done and how it feels.
That sounds like a good type. The sensual type, body-oriented. Any thoughts on that out there? Let's see. We have any comments? It's been said that, this is Terrence. He said it's been said that multiple spirits are released upon different lovers. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Right. The person, we are physical being and spiritual being. The person who you are intimate with is also a spiritual being. And there is a signature from one person to another. It is your own unique signature. And also when you are engaging in intercourse, part of that signal or that DNA of that person is also, and then becomes a part of you. Whether it's skin to skin because cells are exchanged, whether it's fluids, bodily fluids that are exchanged, that is both ways. So she's not the only one receiving spirit. He is also receiving those spirits of those women that he has been with. And so, because it's an exchange of cells. Once you're skin to skin, though, is already a skin exchange, a physical exchange. We're talking about in the lower self and the sexual organs. Absolutely, yes. And so if you're not properly cleansing, and detoxing and really using your spiritual tools, yes, you maintain that signature and that imprint from the person that you have been with and those people who they've been with, and so on and so on. Yes. Mm-hmm. I believe that's what you may mean by the multiple spirits, right? Are they still attached? Yes. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your comment, Terrence. All right, the next one we have.
You want me to keep going?
Mm-hmm, please.
Okay, the cognitive type is head-oriented. This woman is activated through the mind, thoughts, imagination, visual stimulation, fantasy, participation, and meaningful play a significant role. She needs mental engagement, not shame around her thoughts. Spiritually mature cognitive women learn to redeem imagination, not repress it. This often connects with words of affirmation and quality time because mental attention fuels desire.
So this type is head-oriented. So the woman that's always in her thoughts, the woman that's always in her mind. That's another, this is another important arousal type to understand for yourself. And if any men are listening out there, for you to understand her, why she always is in her head. And these are some of the attributes of someone who's in their head a lot when it comes to sex and sexuality. You can go ahead.
I was thinking, when they talk about teaching types, like in school, like some children are visual learners. Some children learn by touch. Some learn by actually physically doing the thing. They learn faster that way. So this is the same thing, but it's just in terms of intimacy. So don't expect for one person, one man you've been with to be like all the men, or one woman to be like all women, because everybody's different in their style. Their intimacy style is different, and some of that is based upon their orientation, their background, their intimate background, and some of it is astrological based as well. So that's a whole nother subject.
Right, the systems.
All right, 3 is the intimacy type, connection oriented. This woman is aroused by being known, emotional safety, shared meaning, feeling seen and understood. If the relationship feels disconnected, her body will not open. For her, intimacy is the foreplay. This aligns deeply with quality time and affection.
Yes, you're right. And you often hear women say, if we're not in a relationship, I don't want to be intimate with you. That is part of this type too. Yep.
Okay, number 4 is the attractor, stimulating type, being seen. This woman's arousal is activated when she feels desired, when her partner responds to her confidence, her beauty, her presence. Being appreciated awakens her. This is not vanity, it's responsiveness. This often connects with compliments or affirmations and gifts because recognition matters.
Yeah, and so this particular woman is one who wants you to see and say, you look beautiful today. I love how that fits you. That is what she needs, and that is part of what activates her. So if you're not used to giving compliments, this is the time to learn how to do that, and do that gracefully and in a way that connects you with her.
Okay, so the 5th one is multi-situational type, integrated. This woman flows between types. Her arousal changes with seasons, stress levels, health, and emotional context. She's dynamic, layered, and responsive. Spiritually mature women understand that your erotic map can evolve, and that change does not mean something is wrong.
Right.
I can see that.
And I'm sure a lot of women fit in this particular category. The more you have and you get to explore, this is so helpful. This is helpful in a relationship and in a beginning relationship, especially if you recognize and know the love languages. Once you know a person's love language, that should come before. Let me just say that for somebody who is connecting with a woman, knowing the love language first is to your advantage. Then you flow into understanding her arousal type. And if you understand that, because if you know her love language, you've already connected with her intimately, or in a way that she can feel safe and comfortable and feel seen. So you're already, checking off some of those boxes when you know the order of her love language. What's the first one? What's the second one? And so on. That's so important when it comes to connecting and making those divine connections. And then for the woman, for you to know this about yourself, your primary is going to be your arousal type, because it's going to help you to see and affirm your love language at the same time. But once you know that, am I always in my head? Why am I in my head? Do I not feel safe? Do I typically not feel safe, or have my past relationships broken trust for me? And now it's hard for me to trust or to get close to anybody or allow anybody to get close to me. All of these tools that we're talking about are really significant in the spiritually mature woman and how she is able to stand in her sacred feminine energy, but also to be and become the sacred woman who she is meant to be, to connect with the sacred man that is destined for her. And so, I thought that was really interesting. So if we've hit a nerve, feel free to call in or send us a message. The call-in number is 810-560-0658. Again, that's 810-560-0658. Love to hear your comments on this, because this is I call it the juicy stuff. It's juicy to me. So it was great when I was putting it together. Okay, and so as we have talked about and identified the 5 types of arousal, I'm hoping that somewhere you connected with one of those 5 and you can do more exploration in the ways that we explore. And what I do in my work and your Inspired Journey work is I provide one-on-one coaching. I also provide workshops, and we have an amazing learning series coming up in February for the Secret to Sacred. Is coming up, and then my one-day webinar on how to get and keep your man is coming up in February too. So stay tuned for that. Ma'at, you have something coming up that you want to share to help guide people into some extra support?
I will be planning some workshops, so you can email me. I guess when we close the show, I'll give the email address.
Oh, you give it now. Go ahead.
Okay, so the email address is relationshipfirstaid@yahoo.com. I'm also open for groups. So let's say there's a women's group, a men's group. My calling is working with men, so I do have a men's group as well that meets every 2 weeks. And so family, like a group of family, sister group, it doesn't make any difference, where I can come and share information based upon what their need is. Some people might need assistance because they're having some challenges with communication in the family. Some other people might need something that they need some blockages in the way that they're running their group or their business or something. So whatever it is, everything is relationship oriented. So again, it's a relationshipfirstaid@yahoo.com.
Awesome. All right. And so as we move into the last part of this conversation, around how to use this information that we talked about today, when we understand our arousal type alongside of our love language, we can better understand our levels of attraction to the men we are with and those who are and have interest in us, how to improve communication, and also how we can understand and support their needs. We stop mislabeling ourselves as too much, too needy, or too complicated. Instead, we see and say to ourselves, this is how I receive love. This is how my body responds, and this is how God designed me. That is such an important perspective to get to. And again, when we talk about spiritually mature, this is where we're trying to go. We are trying to put all of the pieces together because we are at a time, not only is the time pushing us and developing us and cultivating us to remember who we really are. And when I say remember, it means also to put back together your pieces, the pieces of your truth, the pieces of your experiences, because it all matters. All ingredients count. If you're out there, Dr. Calvin T. Mann, all ingredients count. And so this is what allows us to move forward and to gain maturity and to also get the assistance from those of us who are helping to guide and direct that next level for our sisters. And so this is part of the work that I do. I want to just share with you that, again, if you text me, my number is 313-759-7855. I will send you the 2 of my coaching tools, the arousal type and the 10 arousal and pleasure zones of a woman's body. I will send that to you for free. I just need your name and your email address so that I can get that information out to you between now or at least over the weekend. And so I also want to just go back and talk about, name for you again those 5 arousal types so that you can again find yourself in it. So 1, the sensual type is the body-oriented person, the woman that experiences through her senses. 2, the cognitive type, who's head-oriented. That means you're deep in your thoughts, and that matters in your intimacy. 3, the intimacy type is making and having connections with the person. 4 is the attractor type, and that is she is stimulated based on her man's desire for her. So the more he desires her, the more attracted she is to him. And then lastly, the multi-situational type. And that is depending on the situation and the circumstance and the person that you're with, my arousal type might change. And so hopefully you have been armed with this information for further exploration. And if you need more support, please feel free to reach out to me. This is what I do as a personal change coach. It is also what I do in my learning series, in my seminars, and in my workshops. So thank you for tuning in today. Oh, we have a couple commercials. Thank you for dropping that All Ingredients Count book for Dr. Calvin T. Mann. I also want to make sure that you know that as we're closing out this month, we have a few of our Your Inspired Journey events. Of course, our topic today is for the 23rd. It was our podcast, which is every Friday at noon. And our next podcast, we will have a special guest. And so we hope that you join us as we close out the month of January and move further into February, where all of the goodness starts. Ma'at has her groups going and her workshops going. So again, she has that open for families. If you need your spiritual tools, Ma'at is also the person that you want to connect with to get some of those spiritual tools. If you don't even know where to start, it's a great time to reach out to her and ask. And secondly, for Your Inspired Journey, I want to make sure that you get those tools today. So text me, again, your name and email to my business phone number, which is 313-759-7855. Again, your email and your name, and I will send those tools out to you by the end of this weekend. And so, okay. And so we also have some work coming up with our Respect Day. We have a Respect Day meeting tomorrow, Saturday, out of our space, which is at Lit Studios. We are gathering people who want to be a part of encouraging schools to be involved in Respect Day. Respect Day is April 6th every year. It is the time where we are building and bringing people together to understand respect and make sure that our young people have a good working definition so we can intervene in some of the violence and some of the strife that we see between people. often it is the lack of the definition of practice of respect that puts us in those positions. So if you want to be a part of that work, please join us. You can give us a call at 313-638-3649. That's 638-EMIY. And you can just join us on Saturday at 12 noon for that Respect Day meeting. So let me see. Do we have any other? I
wanted to bring something that we didn't address is for women to not associate what their physical body looks like with their sensuality. I don't know very many people that body's shaped like a Coke bottle. So that has nothing to do with your attractiveness or your sensuality. And I think because some women might, after you've had a baby, your body looks kind of different than it did before you had the baby. And then as life goes on and you start to change, and as they say, gravity sets in the older you get, your body doesn't look like it did at 25 or 30 or 35. But that has nothing to do with your sensuality and your sexuality. So I wanted to make sure that we brought that up, that's really important, that, you can have wrinkles, you can have gray hair, you can be a size 28, but that has nothing to do with you not being sensual or not being seen as sensual in the eye of others. So you see some of these women on TV that were, sizable, but they dressed the part, they looked the part, and they were head turners. And it had nothing to do with their size. And they had an energy to match because they had confidence in them. So,
yes, absolutely. And so when it comes to the sacred woman, when it comes to the spiritually mature woman, these are part of the life lessons that are valuable to you. And if you're striving to be that way, you strive for more of this information, more of the tools to help you navigate these decisions. And again, media has such a huge influence on what we see. And it also can affect your way of being, your way of thinking, your sense of confidence, your sense of what is actually spiritual. And so we just want to encourage you to continue on this path. If you continue doing your inner work, your self-work, you are going to meet that information that you need at each crossroad. At each new level, you're going to meet new information. Take that information, apply it to your life as it aligns and as it resonates with you. Again, take what we have shared with you today, take what you need, and spit out the bones, or set the rest aside to a time where it will matter to you what is being shared. So this is to encourage our spiritually mature women, our sacred women, and the women on the path that this is for you. Our Lessons for the Journey is about sharing with you new ways of being, sharing with you new tools and new opportunities to practice it and to be your best self and to recognize you are both physical and spiritual. And this is what makes you the unique you that you are. Connect you to that sacred feminine. And thank you for tuning in today. If you want to continue to explore the sacred feminine, connect to one-on-one coaching and my upcoming learning series, From Secret to Sacred, and our monthly seminar on how to get and keep your man, visit my website at yourinspiredjourney.com. Again, you can always reach me by phone at 313-759-7855. Ma'at, do you want to leave another, bring it back to their attention? How do they reach you?
Again, the email address is relationshipfirstaid@yahoo.com. Website, Relationship First Aid. Just connected, compliments of Chantel. The YouTube channel, so all of the podcasts will be available for replay on YouTube, because for those that don't know, Facebook does not save the recordings anymore after 30 days. And so we have to try and figure out a different way for you to be able to reach us. So YouTube is Relationship First Aid. Again, you'll find the recordings of the previous podcasts on there as well. And Instagram, Relationship First Aid. And TikTok I haven't posted yet, but it's Relationship First Aid. Keep it simple.
And we want to encourage you to listen to Chantel's show. Can you give us some more details?
Yes, so that is going to be every Thursday at 1:15 on Podcastic, and it is called One Step Closer.
And what is that show about?
It is about sharing your testimony with others and knowing that you're not alone, and then also getting that healing from there as well, and to let people know that they're one step closer to any dream, aspiration, or goal that they have.
Blessings. Thank you. We have a dynamic producer. Clearly you can see that. Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening in. We look forward to you joining us next week. We are going to have a special guest in the studio, and it's going to be a roaring good time. So thank you again for joining us, and we appreciate you. Stay clear.